what to do. There's not a lot of things that will actually like fix something, right? Rather than a broken bone. But what we know is that if you remove things, if you remove stress or strain and you remove toxins, that the body has a healing power within itself. Right? Same thing with the Mother Earth, right? If we model Mother Earth in all that she does, she cleans herself, right? She restores, she renews, she grows. So too does the body do this. Well, this again was part of the practice of unity, right? And before the Times came and said it was, this, or the officials said, this is how it works, or the medical system said this is how it works, right? So we have that component. So we have the mind component, we have the body component, we have the world religions component, which is the highest nature of the spiritual component, without all of the stuff that does not embrace unity consciousness, which means me over you, or us over them, or this over that, but that actually honors that we are a whole as a body of beings, that we are one. And that is how the unity practice came about. It's from the compilation of those things, right? At times before those things were laid out for us. So people came together to get all of that in one space, to be able to work it, to be able to practice it. Who has a nature practice that you love the outdoors? Who has a music practice that you love music and creativity? Who has a creative practice that you know you find God, you find source through your creativity, through nature, right? Who knows about the zone, right? About just going into the zone. Whatever your way of going into the zone is, right? You know it. You know how you get there. This is the unity practice. It is a spiritual practice that is based and came up with laws, not because someone wanted control or power, not to make people do something. In fact, even today in unity, do we require anything? Pretty much not. We miraculously come together every Sunday, right? No one has to give, no one has to serve, no one has to do anything. We acknowledge and we understand that this community will keep coming together every Sunday when we step into the flow of life and when we circulate our good, which is how we come to the law of circulation, which is one of the key fundamental principles and practices of unity. I've been in unity for over 30 years now. And I don't think I realized so much, not on the surface, I didn't realize so much how the law of circulation, when understood and demonstrated and practiced in New Thought and Unity, is like the fundamental building block, full stop. I didn't realize it until this time and space. One thing I never liked about it was this, I'm not going to like diss us. It's not about dissing us, but we all know it, right? It was this superficial side of it, that focuses on getting. And that was good for a time because, the unity movement and New Thought has been around, in times of depression and times of up and down. And a lot of it is about self-accountability and it's about making your life work, right? So you get these prosperity principles or these abundance principles to get your life to work, to recognize that God can do no more to me than God can do through me. So I have to then get into the flow of life. I have to become the flow of life. I have to recognize that the flow of life, that life, intelligence, and substance is constantly flowing in and through my body, temple, my mind, my being. And if it passes by me, as Michael Singer says, if the present moment passes by me, if this energy flows through me, then what is my one purpose? What is my one calling? What is my one condition that I am here to do and to be on this planet? Is to make that more. Because it has come to me and through me. To make it more, to make it flow and expand because it came through me. It seems so simple and it is everything. Imagine if the sun shared its light and it just did it in some places. No chlorophyll for you. But yes, you get more. None for you guys, but you get more. But if you do this, if you give on Sundays, if you do this, then you'll get more, right? That's the one thing, that's the one piece that I think people have not liked about these abundance teachings in the past, is that if they are misused, which is probably why they're not always taught. Because when people know them, when people know these principles and these practices, when they truly know them, they know they can be used for good or they can be used for error. Just like an electrical socket, right? You can use that energy and you can use that power and you can make something destructive or you can light the world with it. And religious institutions have not always been about trusting people, right? And their moral compass. It has not been about trusting people and being able to understand and operate in high and sacred ways. I mean, the church failed at running society, didn't it? I mean, really hear that. The church, and by that I mean the mosque, the synagogue, the temple, the church, the religious practices failed at running humanity, the systems. Not just kind of failed, but like kind of failed miserably. Right? To the degree that even the master teacher, even Jesus has been used to harm. What? Like, how can that be? That God, the God concept, has been used to say one is better than the other. One is more deserving. Or somehow there should be systems and things in place so that the flow of life when it comes to me or through me stops. And I get to keep it. I get to hold on, or I get to decide how to divvy it up. When in fact the sun shines on everyone. In fact, the flow of life is coming to us and through us freely in incredible, gorgeous, abundant ways in every moment. So much that you are a unique, unrepeatable expression of your source. A unique, unrepeatable expression of your source. And that shows the holy wonder in a magnificent way. That in fact, all we need to do is say yes to that and make a plant out of me, God. Make out of me something that multiplies, that prospers. And I cannot be limited if I am in this flow and if I am focused on not getting. That's been the problem with the church. That's been the problem with the principle and misusing it. The law of circulation, because the small me, the little human I, the little separate sense of self says, I need to get. And so that's the process that starts to happen, right? And that's error. It's missing the mark. The archery term sin, all it means is missing the mark. It misses the mark because you come from a foundation that is false. And that foundation is that there is a separate sense of me that has a separate sense of well-being that I can somehow feed without feeding you. Impossible. Which brings us to the dynamics of the law of circulation and how it is everything. Because when we teach these spiritual principles from a firm and solid foundation of principle and God consciousness, unity-mindedness, absolute oneness, they are everything. Because it is about the flow of life, that we are an inlet and an outlet of all that is God. And so when we really get these principles and when we apply the law of circulation and we look at it at the depth and we look at it spiritually, we turn everything on its head, which, by the way, is one thing the master teacher always did. Always took lessons and stories and what people thought and turned it around and handed it back. And people went, oh. So life is not about getting, is it? That is the illusion, that is the delusion, and that is the sickness. It is not about getting, it is about giving. It is about making every moment since it passed by me, it is more fruitful. It is more abundant. There is more love, there is more grace, there is more compassion, there is more life, there is more intelligence, there is more substance, there is more good. And this practice has been known through cultures throughout time. The Native Americans talk about it as the 7 generations, right? The 7th generation. It's like, look ahead, look ahead, look ahead. Well, you know, in metaphysics, The number 7 is as long as it takes. So biblically, scripturally, the number 7 represents as long as it takes for completion, right? So it's like, how far do I look ahead? I look ahead and ahead and ahead and ahead. Because it's not me, this separate sense of self that I'm preserving or doing anything with. It is the God, like the God molecule, that I am here to prosper. And it's that simple. The law of circulation, it's that simple. But what that does is it turns all of our little human ideas on their head. So instead of looking for quantity, which is what the human condition, we think, if I just get more, if I just get more, more for me, more for my community, more for my country, more for my kid, more for my this, then I will have more. And you flip it on its head. No, if I give, if I show up, if I multiply the good in me, there is no way I can give without filling my own cup. It's impossible. It is impossible. So I come from the foundation, not of separation and divisiveness. I come from the foundation of unity and oneness. And it is only from there that I can operate and activate these principles in their deep integrity. And then when that happens, I am not looking for quantity. I am looking for quality. And I get it that each moment, the quality of each moment, the quality of life is what we're looking for. And that prospers out 7 generations. That is something that gives. That is something that is a miracle of life, because by my feeding myself, I am feeding the world. And that's the law of circulation. So whether it's a problem we have inside of ourselves in our own lives, because we've all presenced problems, right? We've all got them in our own lives. I think right now we're all focusing on some collective ones. But we have used these principles, and these principles have been used throughout time, throughout religions. It's not about unity. Unity never said, we created this. We thought of it, we made it. No. Charles Fillmore talked about spiritual principles. If they are to be truths, if there is to be any spiritual truth to be taught, it is a truth. That means it is existent anywhere, and it is applicable to everyone, right? It is freely given. You know, he didn't even copyright his stuff. It is freely given. So when we're looking at these principles and how to operate these laws, we recognize that these laws have been in place. They are in place like the law of gravity, and they operate, and we are spiritual adventurers on the path, looking at them, trying them on, and showing them in our lives, and showing ourselves, show me you work. Show me you work. These principles, the law of circulation, has been used, and these unity teachings and these unity principles have been used, even with the Fillmores, to process through the death of a child, to process through the depression, to process through how to make a life on this planet, to process through how to look at your heart and what is yours to do, what is mine to do, how to show up in the world, to process healing from diseases like tuberculosis and other disorders and other issues, mind, body, spirit, to face things in the world that created and caused great fear and great discord, to get them through times of war. The law of circulation is really about a spiritual, moral compass. It's about a spiritual, moral compass. And when we operate the law and we really presence it, we live from a different space and we create from a different space. I'm going to review some of the keys to the kingdom by David Owen Ritz in this circulation material that he has given to us. Now, this circulation material on the law of circulation has been taught in many different ways in New Thought and Unity, but I love his way, and I think he gets all of the main nuggets. So he says, key number 1, make the commitment. What are we committed to? What are we committed to? We may be waking up now to a higher level of collective commitment. If what are we committed to has up until this point in our lives been about me and mine, right? It's time to revisit that and to trust and to know when I'm about the unity consciousness, when I'm about our oneness, it can't leave me out. It can't leave me out. It's impossible. It may leave the separate sense of self. Michael Beckwith says something like a bad day for the ego is a good day for God. So it may leave the ego out, yes. But to make a commitment based on spiritual truths, like what is our commitment? Like really, what are we committed to? And to hold that, to live from that, to have that being our spiritual moral compass, our foundation, period, end of story. Ooh, what is your commitment? What is my commitment? What is our commitment? In Unity, I know we teach that it is a commitment to live the principles and live the truth we know, to activate the knowing of God as love and our unity and the evolution of consciousness, right? Charles Fillmore has another law, it's too much for today, but it's the law of infinite expansion. And it's that everything is operating towards a higher good. Everything is always operating towards a higher good. You can't always see that when you're in a moment. A moment can be so small and the perspective can be so small, right, that you can't see it. But in truth, if you look throughout history and you look throughout time, there is an evolutionary process towards development. So the first is make the commitment. The world was not given to you, you were given to the world. Step into the natural flow of abundance by committing yourself to becoming a giver of life. Key number 2, hold the vision. Hold the vision. You will not rise higher than your personal vision for your life. And I am going to put in there the collective, because that's where we are. We are in the place where we are taking all of our principles. You know, unity as a spiritual practice is a baby movement. It's based on a long history, right? Going back so far, because Fillmore looked at everything. He was like, I don't even know what he was. Like, the amount that man read and wrote and prayed and ideated, Charles and Myrtle and everyone here on grounds, I mean, so much went into that. But where we are now, it's not one or the other. It's not one or the other. Because up to now, we've been operating and we've been demonstrating these principles by going right here, because everyone has to. That is the truth. We cannot raise the collective consciousness without raising our own. So it takes individuals doing that work. But here's the key to now. The key to now is acknowledging the power of that work as a collective. The power of that work when we do it together. So he says, key 2, hold the vision. You will not rise higher than your personal or collective vision for your life, for our life, for humanity. Expand your vision and follow your bliss. Believe in your highest potential. Believe in our highest potential, and we will realize it. So we bring that from the self to the all, not leaving the self in, but knowing that it is part of the great oneness, that even the hairs on your head are counted. Michael Singer said, use your mind to be creative, inspiring, and do great things. Don't let the mind always be thinking about itself and what it wants. Key 3, build a new awareness. Charles Fillmore taught that everything is made of life, intelligence, and substance. We are here to build a new awareness of that in each moment. That means, yes, we got a drum roll for that. That means, yes, being born into the spirit, being born from our core, from our nature, not from our hurts, our pains, our lack of forgiveness, our suffering, our resentment, not from all of those things, knowing that we are the flow of life expressing, and we can be born from that. So expanding it, do not hide your light under a bushel basket. As the master teacher said, even more too you shall do. Have you ever wondered what that meant? For real. I mean, for real. Even more too you shall do. The life, the intelligence, the substance flowing through you, flowing through me, flowing through the collective. Even more with the infinite expansion, right? With the evolution of consciousness, even more too can it do than in that moment in history, pulled to the present moment of now. He said, our limiting beliefs have always held us back. A new awareness of the truth of your being will set you free. And you know what? This is probably the key to the failure of world religions. If every world religion or practice, cultural practice that is attempting to have a moral compass or a spirituality by which to live, if every single one of them would get out of duality thinking, out of us and them, and into oneness, guess what would happen? If there was no elitism, if there was no domination, if there was no us and them, if there was no higher and lower, if everyone realized the teachings of the master teacher and the teachings of saints and sages throughout time and realized that it was about oneness and shifted that little piece, that's the one little error. Shift that piece because the God of you is the God of me. There is no other God that could be. Key 4, make room for the new. The law of circulation works to benefit those who understand its operation. When you create a vacuum in your life, the universe always moves to fill it. So give. Look at quality, not quantity. Look at giving. When we give, who would like to just give? Can you feel the spaciousness of if you just released? It's the same thing as the body temple. You release the toxins, you release this, you release that, guess what? It all does its work. The body system has movement, has freedom, has spaciousness. It knows how to operate. So too is our life, right? If we have a home, if we have a community, if we have a country, if we have a world that tries to get too much, guess what? We're stuck in our stuff. And you can fill in the blank on what that stuff is. But we're here on the planet to create in the image and likeness of God. That means there is more than enough. So that means if we're demonstrating a world within us or outside of us or around us that shows not enough for any one of its members, we have missed the mark. By giving, so too shall we receive. Key 5, let go of the past. Holding on to regrets and resentments from the past saps your creative energy. Release your energy through forgiveness of self and others. This is so deep because it's beyond what we think of as forgiveness. It's so deep because it's just letting go of all the resentments, recognizing I have one moment in life. It's the present moment. That's the one I've got all the time, this second. I've got the present moment. I can either spend it clawing at the now, wishing it away, saying it's not real or judging it, right? And that's fine. We're humans. Judge it all you want and then get back into the practice as quickly as you can. Wake up as quickly as we can. Because when we're not awake and when we're not aware, we're spending the energy and the time we have focusing on what's wrong rather than talking about what's right, what's here, and what's possible. And that's in our own lives and that's in the collective. So letting go of the past. Not because the past deserves it and it was great. Not because what we see in the present moment is fabulous. Oh, there's a quote. Howard Thurman. And you can fill in some blanks here. It's like, think about any forgiveness work you have to do or any arguing about the now in your life, in our world. If a man knows precisely what he can do to you or what epithet he can hurl against you in order to make you lose your temper, your equilibrium, then he can always keep you under subjection. Howard Thurman. So if something can be done to us, and that's the forgiveness work, that's the moment. Like, it's not just a man, right? It's not just an other. But like, if this lack of forgiveness work, if this tying up my own energy in resentment and discord in the past, in limitation in any sort of way, if that has my attention, then I am subject to that statement. So let go of the past. Let go of resentment. It saps our creative energy. Release our energy through forgiveness of self and others. Key 6, count the blessings. Count the blessings. We can look at any time, and we all have perception and perspective. We can look at any time in our lives, and we can have a woe is me pity party and say, oh, there are things that are really not going well, right? In my own being and in the collective. That is what it is. It's been throughout time. It's a nice idea to expect it to change and to think that we will demonstrate something different in the future. That's a great expectation to have. I have it. And the reality we see in front of us is that the human condition has been a human condition of struggle and discord. Ever since humans have been on the planet, there have been these dynamics. So I'm going to continue arguing with that and wait to count my blessings to see if the outside world is going to give me something so that I can then be reciprocal. Get. Let me get something. Let me get something so I can be grateful. That is not the teaching of the master teacher. The gratitude practice is a generative practice. It is a power within us. It is a collective power that we look at what is around us and we look at what is within us and we look to the good and we magnify it and we multiply it and then we give it. It is not transactional. We're not giving it because we got something. We're giving it because it is generative. Because in a moment I can look at something I appreciate. I can look at something and that is my power to bless. That is my power to call it forth. That is my power to activate it. And I can do that in every moment, and no one can take that away from me. There were people in the Holocaust that didn't have that taken away from them. African Americans grew up on this land with slavery, their heritage, right? When we go back in history books, we look at that. Look at what has happened in history. Look at the darkness that humanity is capable of, right? We look to that, and we will be captive to it. In times of struggle, people look to the light because there is a principle of generative gratitude. And it creates. And the key 7 is live in the flow of life. Abundance is not just a spiritual quality, it is a way of life. Incorporate the principles of abundance into daily living, and abundance will be your way of life. You are the flow of life. We are the flow of life. This is the principle, this is the practice, and this is the good news.